everyone. It may be afternoon where you are or evening, but wherever you are around the world, welcome in for our August webinar. We are so happy to have you here today. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. I just want to make sure that everybody who is going to join us has joined us so we can get started with everybody in the webinar room. So come on in, make yourself comfortable. And Faranak has already said hello, hello. So please put your name and where you are logging in from over here in the chat. And the chat is public, so you are free to chat with other people if you like. I encourage that. There's always usually a couple good conversations going on during the webinar. Hi, Olga. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Victoria. Marcy, Ingrid. Oh, yay. Seattle, Victoria. Nice. Wendy, Novato. Oh, neat. Richard, Austin, Tristan. Lisa from Los Angeles. Well, hello, Lisa. Sandra in Vancouver, Pauline, Hillary, St. Croix, Virgin Islands. Oh, wow, nice. Must be beautiful down there. Max from Arizona, Pierre, South Africa. So we're like way across the ocean now. Welcome, welcome in. We have Victoria from Atlanta, Dennis, Lewis, Dina, Mark, Leanne, Melissa, Louisa, Dave from Georgia, Nitin from Chicago, Paulette, Marianne, Susan. Hey, wow, what a great crowd we have today. I hope everybody is doing well. And I hope that everybody has been able to take advantage of the summer months. It's usually the time for vacations and relaxing a little and getting out. I hope you are able to do that. I just came back from camping in the Pacific Northwest up on the peninsula, and we had a wonderful campsite. We fished, and it was a great 3 or 4 days. So it's nice to get out in nature a little bit. Hey, Greg. All right. I definitely think, oh, Rick, we're not going to forget Wilmington, North Carolina. Never. All right. So I think we can go ahead and get started. Welcome to our August Viome live webinar. My name is Lisa Shomo. I am head of community here at Viome. And just, I'd like to do a quick little plug. I'm just going to pop this up on the screen here. If you are not in our Viome community page on Facebook, we would love to invite you and have you join us. There's about 12,000 people in there strong. We're having lots of good conversations, lots of good help and support from not only myself, but your community members as well. The community members are fantastic. I love them, and I love seeing the interactions that they have every day. It's really, really great. You can join the conversation, get connected, ask questions, get more insights. And so there, you can go ahead and do that. You just have to answer a couple questions, and don't forget to check that box that says that you will follow the group guidelines. All right, so another summer coming to a close, which is bittersweet. But people always look forward to fall as well. And as we shift our focus away from not focusing on anything in particular, we've had a few months of carefree behavior, as it should be. Hopefully you have. The summer months are meant to enjoy and immerse ourselves in the weather, outdoors, seasonal food, as well as friends, companions, and family. So people are now beginning to shift and go back to more regular schedules. Kids and young adults alike are going back to school. Parents and adults are coming off vacations, or maybe they were working from home and they're returning back to the office. And then, of course, we have our regular routines that we may have been irregular, on or off for a little while. Travel inconveniences, summer's relaxed schedule can throw us off a little from the regular actions that we usually take every day. So I know the past 3 months, like I have literally walked into the kitchen whenever my whole family was home and said, what am I cooking tonight? Anything thought out?
What's for dinner? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, what fresh veggies do I have? Am I down to 2 carrots and 1 wrinkled zucchini in the crisper? I don't know. Am I out of quinoa? So also, there's going back to earlier alarms, morning workouts, school buses, traffic, homework, work, group activities, and sports. It all takes careful planning and adjustment. So transitioning from summer to fall is a fantastic moment to take a look at and change up or improve on your routines, as well as putting them just back in regularly, especially if they really worked for you. This includes food shopping, menus, meal prepping, and even things like your movement or your mindfulness routines that fell out a little bit. So First, I completely forgot to do this. I said I was going to do this, and I didn't do it. I want to introduce these two wonderful people with me here in the webinar room. I have Janelle Connell and Grant Antoine. They are both members of our Precision Nutrition Science team. They have special things that they do on their own, but they work with two other people on the nutrition team. And I'm so happy to have you here today, Janelle and Grant.
Thanks, Lisa. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I actually love this topic. My kids have been back in school for a week now. So we're like right in the middle of this and getting back into all the routines.
Absolutely.
Same, right there with you.
Excellent. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start off with Grant. Let's get it started.
Yeah, absolutely. So you nailed it on the head, right? We're in transition right now, and some of us dread it, some of us celebrate it. Kind of depends where you're coming from. But how can we make the transition as easy as possible? Make it less volatile? How can we lower the impact on our mood, our energy? How can we work with our biology, right, to settle into those routines both efficiently and comfortably? That way we're set up for success, and that's all we want to talk about today. How do we set ourselves up for success? Lisa mentioned we got to get back on schedule and establish that early morning routine, right? It's critical for a number of reasons, but really the key word is routine. Those regular waking times, bedtimes, they've been shown to maximize both the amount of sleep we get and the sleep quality, right? We need to be paying attention to that sleep quality. And that first morning light, it's a signal for our brains that sets off a cascade of beneficial biological effects, hormones that really support our health and again, set us up for success. So the circadian rhythm matters. And again, we want to be working with our rhythms, not against them. And that's how we're going to feel our best. When we're working with them, we're just going to be happier, more productive people. And when we break those cycles, when we work against our circadian rhythms, we have more disrupted sleep. And what we begin to see is a higher incidence of uncontrolled blood sugar, increased inflammation, increase in blood pressure even, more impulsivity, sugar cravings, and really these highs and lows, this roller coaster of both mood, energy, and cravings. So even our microbiome is working on a circadian rhythm where we see these small changes in composition and activity. Remember, those microbiome signals matter, and it makes sense when we consider the timing of meals. Janelle's going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. But all these things, again, just working for us or against us. So we want to be working for us. So that early schedule or that early morning routine is going to be key. And you got to reevaluate. You got to take a step back and say, okay, well, how do I plan for this? When do I need to be waking up? And you want to reverse engineer from there, right? So now I know when I need to be waking. Now I know what time I need to get to bed, what time I need to start prepping for bed, what time I need to have my evening meals. So always establish that time, work back from there. A big part of this is our sleep hygiene. A lot of our sleep hygiene falls during the summer months as we're on the go. Sleep schedule's a big part of that, but we need to be paying attention to other details. Maybe turning off those screens a couple hours before bed, dimming the lights. If you have to use a screen, maybe you're using a blue light filter or maybe blue light glasses. No food or drinks too late before bed. Ideally, like 4 hours, they say. Some people can get away with 2 hours, depends on the meal, but be paying attention to it. You also don't want to overhydrate. So if you're drinking water before bed, making sure you're not drinking too much where it's going to wake you up multiple times during the night and disrupt those sleep cycles. Establishing a mindful practice, right? This can look very different depending on what works for you. Breath work, guided meditations, visualizations, maybe some gentle stretches or yoga for you before bed. Maybe it's reading or journaling before bed. These are some of the basics. You can find lots of the hygiene tips, sleep hygiene tips online. How you should set up your bedroom, right, to minimize the light, protect the light coming in through the windows, alarm clocks, that sort of thing. But we definitely want to highlight it, and you want to start incorporating those habits to get you back on schedule. Now, this is my high horse here. This is my soapbox. you want to be paying attention to this caffeine alcohol cycle that so many of us fall victim to, right? We have fast-paced lives. We're on the go. We grab that cup of caffeine, whatever that might be for us, and we go get our work done, right? We get it done. Maybe after lunch, we know that slump's coming, so maybe we grab another cup of caffeine, tea. Maybe we grab a little something before our exercise, a pre-workout supplement. It might have some caffeine in it. We get all our work done, we get home, and now it's time to relax. So what do? We grab that glass of wine, make a cocktail, grab a beer, whatever that might look like. Unfortunately, though, that alcohol is going to impact our sleep, right? Both the carbohydrates and the alcohol itself is going to impact our sleep. We talked about sleep quality. So now what we're going to see is our body temperature is going to go up, our heart rate's going to go up. Those rest and digest signals, that parasympathetic nervous system, those signals are going to decrease. And then we see the quality of our sleep diminish, right? That deep sleep, the time in deep sleep, the time in REM. This is where we're refreshing. This is where our body's resetting, healing, restoring. Those phases decrease. And so now we're waking up unrefreshed. And then what do we do again? We grab another cup of caffeine. Maybe this time it's a vintage, or maybe we're doubling up on our cups that we're brewing at the house. But over time, this leaves this tired and wired state we all hear about, right? A lot of folks point to adrenal fatigue. It doesn't necessarily have to be adrenal fatigue, but it's just this vicious cycle. And again, we're getting hyped up to get our work done during the day, and then we're trying to relax. But that caffeine is, again, keeping us wired. So we need the alcohol to relax, and we think that's setting us up for good sleep. But in fact, it's impairing our good sleep. And we need to be paying attention to this. This can get away from you during the longer days, right? When we're on the go, we're more active, we have more daylight, we're getting things done. So what do we do about it? Well, first, let's cut back on the alcohol. Let's see, we find that sweet spot. Do we need to completely remove it? Not necessarily, but we need to be paying attention. And often one drink, one glass of wine would be okay, but you need to know yourself and you need to know your limits. This is where sleep trackers can come in, or remove the sleep or the alcohol completely. Maybe you create a healthy mocktail to maintain the habit. Maybe you're social during that hour, meeting coworkers or friends. Have a mocktail, maybe some gentle movement, go for a stroll around the neighborhood. That'd be the first step. And then two, let's look at the caffeine intake, right? Let's cut back on the caffeine. Let's be mindful. Let's keep that caffeine to the early morning, maybe just a cup, maybe a large cup, but just the one. Try to eliminate any caffeine in the afternoon, especially late afternoon, where it's going to have an impact on that evening rest time and our sleep. Maybe you try pulling it out completely. I've done this with a lot of my patients where they're coming in just absolutely fatigued, and you really see how much we can tend to rely on caffeine, even for our bowel movements, not just to get through the day, but like for our digestion. So pulling that out helps identify some of these other barriers to health that you need to address to set you up. Again, we want to be living our best lives, right? I mentioned the sleep trackers too, and not everyone has access to these, but they're becoming more and more available and more affordable. So you don't know until you measure. There's trends and commonalities that we all share, but we're all a little different, right? My wife and I have very different, parameters, I'll say, when it comes to body temperature, what we can eat or can't eat, alcohol. I'm much more sensitive to alcohol than she is, actually, despite my body size differences. But you don't know until you measure. So it's really one of the best investments I've ever made for my health. And it's helped me uncover those underlying issues that I never would have thought of how severely alcohol could impact my sleep. But now I know. Now I get to choose or work around that. If I know I need to go be social and have a drink, and I plan my work schedule around that. So it's just about knowledge and having that information. So again, you can be your best self. I guess I just want to highlight here too, I always feel my best self when I'm caffeine free and alcohol free. I call it that childhood energy, right? I don't know if you remember back when you were a kid, You had all this energy, you played hard, you slept hard, right? You ever see the kids, they're just completely zonked at the end of the day, open mouth breathing, just passed out.
Yeah.
That's what we can still experience that at an older age, but we need to we don't give our kids caffeine and alcohol throughout the day. Certainly not the same amounts that we consume or Americans consume on a regular basis, right? So maybe we need to put Starbucks out of business. You can, and Budweiser, cut these things out. See how you feel. Do a 30-day challenge, and you might uncover some important details, and see how you feel, and realize that you feel much better without these things. And they are addictive, right? I don't want to bypass that. Caffeine's addictive. Alcohol is addictive. Be paying attention. But all this to say is that the body likes to know what's next. Like, it likes to plan ahead. It likes routines and schedules. It pays attention to the signals in our environment, including caffeine and alcohol. So we want to establish those healthy signals. And as Janelle's going to point out, our diet and our meals definitely play a role, an important role in that. So let's go to the next slide.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the caffeine. I feel like in the summertime, that's, gosh, it's such a crutch, right? When you have those long days and you're going. But it's nice to get back to like the root, right? The root issue is not getting enough sleep. Let's solve that rather than putting a Band-Aid on it with caffeine. So that's so important.
Absolutely.
So part of this, getting back to routines is getting back to consistent meal times. And I know for me, we try to have some routines in the summer, but definitely by the end of the summer, it felt like a revolving door in our pantry. Kids were just eating whenever they wanted. Friends were eating whenever they wanted. All of that's going on. Dinners tended to get pushed back later because of all the activities happening in the day. So for me, the past week has been really nice, just getting back to at least our normal dinner routine, and getting that reestablished. Why does it matter, right? Why does our body need this consistency? And Grant touched upon it. We have these natural rhythms in our body, these circadian rhythms. Our gut microbiome recognizes those rhythms, and it has its own circadian rhythms. But the biggest deal is, we want that natural kid energy, and consistent meal times helps us have that. It actually helps us control our blood sugar levels. It helps us control and regulate our hormones that make us feel hungry or full. And there's actually some research that shows that, when we're not having consistent meals, or when we're having kind of irregular eating, those hunger hormones get disrupted. And it can actually become harder later to recognize natural hunger and natural fullness. So we want to avoid that, right? It's tied in with the sleep picture. When we have shorter sleep, then that ghrelin, that hunger hormone, increases, also associated with an increased BMI. So you see that kind of connecting the dots, right? We need that sleep, we need that regular eating pattern to manage our body's hormone levels, and manage our food intake for sure. I'll point out that this is also really relevant to our kids. So you've probably heard a lot about, kids need breakfast in the morning. Totally true. When the studies show when kids have breakfast, their brain functions better, their memory's better, their attention, they do better on tests. I imagine all of those benefits relate to us as well, right? We're going to perform better when our body knows what's coming and it's being fueled. For some reason, I'm totally guilty of this as well. We tend to, like, as parents, enforce those routines for our kids. Like, you got to get up at a certain time, you got to have breakfast, we're getting dressed, we're getting out the door, right? But we don't always hold ourselves to that same kind of standard. And it's easy to let kind of ourselves go in that process, right? Like, I'm going to make sure I feed them, but I'll get around to feeding myself later. So my kind of encouragement there is, as you're thinking about these routines, think of what you can piggyback. It's often easier to start a routine when you connect it to something you're already doing. So if you are already feeding your kids every morning, like feed yourself as well. Fit it into that normal routine. If you're packing their lunches, prep or pack your lunch as well at the same time. You've already got that one habit going, and you can squeeze yourself into there as well. All right. So not only is consistent meals important, but it's also worth thinking about the timing of our meals. With our microbiome having its own circadian rhythms, you have to think about those microbes in our gut. They don't see the light. They're not like us walking outside and getting that sunshine to kind of signal to our cells like it's daytime. What they know is when we feed them. So when we feed them is wake time, and then they know rest time when we're not eating. So having those consistent meal times, that meal timing can be really helpful there. The research actually shows that when we have a combination of normal sleep and normal meal times, we reduce our food intake. Mm-hmm. So it sounds so simple, not always easy, but that kind of regular schedule really helps just control our appetite.
Janelle, I do want to say one thing, which was that, so if you don't have children, there are other things that get in the way of you holding in these regular things. One is work. Definitely. And I literally had a boss one time when I was much younger have a list up above her computer. One was drink water. And I was like, why do you have a checklist to drink water? And she's like, okay, you just sit down and start working and you'll understand why I have that checklist. And to make sure you eat, don't finish off that project or that report. Eat. You have to eat, right?
Yeah.
So it translates to if you even don't have kids. So I totally understand that.
Yeah. And like I'm saying, you find those routines that you're already doing and just piggyback it onto that. If you make your coffee every morning, maybe there's something quick you could make with it. Maybe it's just a banana and nut butter, but you're getting in a little bit of proteins and fiber in there, and you can attach those habits together, which is great. I put on our last bullet here, eating together has benefits. When people eat together at least 3 times a week, kids especially, we have lower odds of being overweight. They're more likely to eat healthier foods, 24% more likely, which is awesome. 35% less likely to have disordered eating. So these are really important statistics that, just 3 times a week, if we can make that together time, it allows, you to model for your kids or grandkids or whoever's in your life what that healthy eating looks like, and also introduce some new foods. Kids are more likely to try those when they see other people eating them around them. So definitely want to make a plug for that. When you're thinking about your meal timing of a few times a week, try to plan that time where at least some of you can be together while you're eating. I know that's not always realistic. I will say, while I flip over here, I have 3 kids in 3 different sports, and I know that timing can be really, really hard. So like Grant was saying about scheduling, yeah, it might be Saturday and Sunday that 2 of those meals are, but think about that goal of 3 times a week.
Yeah, it's just about being mindful and setting the intention, and where can we make time for it, right? Where can we make it fit? Yeah. I love it. So we talked a little bit about sleep schedules. We talked a little bit about circadian rhythm, the importance of meal timing. Now we want to focus a little bit more on self-care and habit building, right? We want to make sure we're incorporating those healthy habits, reestablishing them, maybe creating new ones, and breaking some bad habits and replacing them, right? Up front, first, you likely need to reevaluate your situation. If you like to start your day with a workout or an activity, but the kids are waking up earlier, you might need to foresee the impact that might have on your self-care and adjust your schedule, right? Be more proactive and more importantly, be protective your self-care, right? Let's carve out times and in spaces where we know it's going to be most protected. For me, it's not the morning, it's going to be the afternoon. But I know that if my movement time, for example, is in the afternoon, now I can bump that 30 minutes to an hour and still make it happen. In the morning, if I don't get straight up and get going right away, I'm going to miss that opportunity. I'm not going to get a full workout. So be mindful of that and plan ahead. And remember, only you know what you need to be yourself, your best self. You need to get what you need, you need to protect it. And that's where these habits can come in. And again, just a little bit of planning goes a long way. So sticky habits, this just means that we're getting our routines and our habits to stick, right? And there's a whole science here that incorporates neurobiology and psychology of habit building, utilizing the 4 steps here is the habit loop with cue, craving, response, and reward. We can use this loop both to create good habits and to break bad habits. There's a ton, I'm not going to go into too much detail here. There's a ton of resources online. If you're interested in books on the topic, Atomic Habits is a great resource. James Clear, he's made a name for himself. But just the whole idea is you don't just say, oh, I'm going to work out and I'm going to work out every morning at 5 a.m. and that's, I just got to do it. I just got to get up and I got to get up and grind. And yes and no, right? You're really likely not setting yourself up for success if you're putting such high demand on yourself, right? And we need to be practical and reasonable and work with our schedules and our lifestyles to say, hey, I know my movement's important for me, or name the activity. Maybe it's, you're swimming, you're reading, your breathing practice, whatever that is for you, your girl time, whatever, your bro time. You realize it's important for you, so you want to see where you can best fit that into your daily life. Excuse me. And that's all we're talking about. Excuse me. Let me take a drink. Let's set ourselves up for success. Get it back into our routine and protect it. So we're going to talk a little bit about movement. Going back to your exercise routine, maybe you don't need to jump right back in where you left off. Maybe it's been a few months. Maybe you're pretty fit. Maybe it's been a year or so. You're regularly active and fit. You don't need to go back into that full-blown 5K. You're going, a sub 20-minute, or maybe you're lifting and, you had a 400-pound back squat. Maybe things have changed a little bit. So let's not pick right back up where we left, especially as we age. We need to slowly work our way back in. We don't want to break ourselves, both either physically or emotionally. It could be a little distraught when you try to get back in and realize how much you've actually lost. It goes quick, unfortunately. It's hard to build back up when we're talking about fitness and certainly muscle. So we don't want to break ourselves. We want to start slow. We want to progress from there. Find that time of day. When you're first starting out, it's going to be more about that time of day that's going to work for you. Now let's just start creating that habit. Let's just get to the gym. That's going to be 80%, or get to that activity, that space, whatever it is we're going to perform. Let's just get it and get something started. Maybe the first time it's really, you just do the warm up, right? You get the warm up, you got the time carved out, you're getting familiar. Maybe it's a new gym or whatever. Take it easy, progress from there. You want to be able to walk and use the restroom the next day. You don't want your legs so broken that you can't squat. You want to be able to get out of the car. So start slow. Think about just maybe some family walks, some quick, short, low intensity workouts if you are going to lift or get back on the equipment. And then making sure you're taking lots of attention to your warm-ups and your cool downs. And then another part of our healthy habits, we want to be paying attention to down regulation, right? That mindfulness time. That restorative time. This is our time to unplug and really recharge our soul batteries. This can look very different for each of us. It doesn't have to mean 30 minutes of intense, meditation. Again, this could be journaling, reading, time with a friend, music, playing music, listening to music. I grew up an only child. I'm introverted. I need my alone time. My wife, she can't stand the alone time. So you find what works for you. But again, set the time, be mindful, intentional, find what's going to work for you, and reestablish that habit. Because just like proper diet, sleep, and exercise, we need to know how to downregulate and balance the demands of our lives, right? That's why we're highlighting it here. Just find what works for you, establish that habit so you can thrive.
Yeah. And then when I think about that daily movement, Grant, I know for me, that's like usually a starting point for my routines. If I get in that movement, especially in the morning, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of my day. And sometimes it usually makes those other habits easier, right? I want something healthy to eat after. I want to drink water, like all of those other behaviors fall into place.
Funny how that works out, right?
I know.
Let's see.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the fun stuff. I know sometimes when people hear like meal prep or meal planning, it's like, oh, I know it's hard, but truthfully, it is such a key to success. It's so hard to be successful if you are not thinking about your food ahead of time a bit, and if you're not eating at home more often, right? It's really challenging. It doesn't have to be, I mean, this picture is beautiful. This is not what my meal prep looks like. It doesn't have to be Pinterest worthy to help you save time and money.
Or be delicious.
Or be delicious, right? Some of my favorite meals are like the throw it all in a bowl and mix it together kind of meals. So don't feel like it has to be this overwhelming task. It doesn't. Something to think about, though, again, like I talked about, eating with people 3 times a week is a great habit. Aiming for about 5 meals a week at home is another maybe goal or something to think about. If right now you don't cook much or prepare foods yourself, and you're making something 1 to 2 times a week, the initial goal might be to have three meals a week at home. Would be an awesome spot to start. They did study. I put a tiny link at the bottom here, but they looked at over 11,000 people, and that 5 meals at home was kind of a sweet spot where when people were doing that, and this was adults, they had a greater fruit and veggie intake and lower BMI and body fat percentages. So you do reap those benefits getting in the habit of having those foods at home. I've kind of learned for myself, especially recently, there's nights when we're out late, especially during the summer, and I'm like, let's just go grab something. That's my like initial thought, right? Let's make it easy. And when I catch myself doing that and I can pause for a second, I've been able to realize that, you know what, it's actually faster for me to like whip up a veggie omelet and cut up some fruit or, something super simple, than to go out, like get everyone to agree on a place, go get it, order it, bring it all the way back. Like that's going to take an hour of my time, whereas we can be done at home in 15 minutes.
Even just trying to order online on the apps or whatever, like it's like the bane of my existence. I hate going through those ordering menus or whatever. Plus, the prices are ridiculous. You can go through an Uber Eats or any of these apps. The markup is insane.
It is very crazy.
So expensive. So it actually really does save you time making it at home, even though it seems like effort in the moment sometimes.
And delivery food never tastes as delicious at home as it does in the restaurant.
No, it doesn't. It gets soggy. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about meal planning, but we want to hear from you guys first. Who out there is already meal planning for yourself, for your family, for whoever's in your home with you? Let us know here.
And also, if you have specific things that you like to do, tell us in the chat. We'd like to know. We'd like to know what your tips are, because we're here to give you tips, but if you guys have great tips, we want to hear them too.
Totally agree. Yeah. And I think everyone's in like a little different situations, right? You might be an empty nester. You might be single. You might have 5 kids. Like there's different strategies for, different stages of life. And so we want to hear if you've got some good tips, definitely throw it in the comments.
Please. All right.
All right. And we'll talk a little bit. I'm going to share with you guys how I do it. But Lisa's going to share some really great tips for using AI a little later. So that's going to be awesome. I think AI is such a good tool for meal planning, and it's really a fun thing to use. All right, so you're not going to see anything fancy from me. Like I said, I'm not a Pinterest-worthy meal prepper. This is how I do my weekly meal plan. It hangs on the wall in our hallway. It's a whiteboard. It's really simple, and it hangs next to like our big monthly calendar. And so I can look at the week and I can say, okay, Wednesday night, we've got 3 different things going on. I know I need something that's either made ahead of time in a crock pot or an Instapot, or is like a fast, like 15-minute meal. And that's kind of how I assess my week. It also really helps. 1, I have it written down. It's out of my mind. I don't have to think about it anymore. But 2, it's really helpful for my kids. I told Lisa, my son came down this week because I snapped a picture of this after I took it. And he was like, oh, mushroom soup. Yes. Like they can be excited about what's for dinner, or if they're not so excited, they at least accept it, right? They have a day or 2 to process it and realize this is what we're having for dinner that night, which for us has really been a big help to just kind of establish that routine and get out of the mom, what's for dinner question. I don't want that. Will you make something else? That whole conversation.
I'm not a short order cook.
No, I do not do that. I will say I always try to feature some of my superfoods. So you'll see that here. Beets are a superfood of mine. I think I have that on Sunday. Mushrooms are a superfood of mine. Ginger, which goes into the soup. Salmon, which I've got a couple times in there. And I keep that goal to aim for about 5 meals a week at home. We'll go out one night and we might have something else social another night. But I'm always aiming for that 5 times a week if possible. Grant, do you guys have anything that you do in your home particularly?
We're all over the place. Christina does a great job of meal planning, and she's got her weekday recipes like lined up. I'm more of the sous chef. She tells me what to prep and what to help with. But yeah, we definitely have our plan and our routine. We find that if we don't get that grocery shopping done, right, we talk a lot about meal prepping, but just getting the grocery shopping done is huge for us, because if you don't have those things in the house, even if sometimes the meal plan falls to the wayside a little bit, depending on the activities, at least you have those foods in the house to whip something together. If you don't, then it's like, oh, well, we got to go out. And then that, and now you go out, but you don't go shopping. And then the next night, like, oh, well, we still don't have groceries. Like, and so it's, that little thing can be a game changer for us.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Totally.
And if you don't have time to shop, and I know Instacart can get very expensive. I actually shop through my local store, and they have a shopping service that's provided at the store for no extra charge, and I just go and I pick it up.
Yeah.
So that's an easier way to do it for time constraints, so you don't have to tip them or anything.
Definitely. This little saying is like my favorite because I've been there so many times. I hate when I go to the kitchen for food and all I find are ingredients. Right? So like, how many times have we opened the fridge and we're just staring and we're like, I want to eat now, but like, I'm not going to pull everything out and whip something up. Or, I've heard that from my kids so many times too, right? There's nothing to eat. And I know there's food in the fridge, but there's nothing made. And that's the difference. That's where some batch cooking or some type of prepping can really come in handy. I think grains or root vegetables do really well with batch cooking, and same with some of the proteins, chicken and beans particularly. I know, Lisa, you said you do quinoa a lot.
Mhm.
Those types of things are easy to make a larger quantity of and keep them in the fridge. And then all you have to do is make the veggies. I like the veggies made the day of. I think they're a little fresher that way. But that's definitely one strategy. The way I do it personally is I always just make extra at dinner.
Yeah.
So if I've planned my dinner and I know I'm cooking those 5 nights a week, I always just make at least an extra serving or two and have it for lunch the next day. That's kind of my simple go-to. I'm already cooking. It's not any extra effort. And then I know I have something to eat for lunch.
Absolutely. Me personally, if I need to put something together that is healthy and, slightly sophisticated, I just do the sheet pan method. I swear by it. So you have to obviously thaw out your proteins if you're having animal proteins, that takes some time. So pull it out in the morning, and stick it on your counter, then put it in your refrigerator a little bit later on, and that will be ready to go. But I see whatever the vegetables that are in my box, okay? Or I have onions or maybe potatoes on my countertop, chop those all up, use a little harissa, use a little honey and chipotle or something like that, throw it all together, and you're done. And if you make more, you have, lunch the next day. That's what I like to do. And also, Grant, if you want to tell us what you do, I want to start throwing up some people's suggestions here. These are not questions, but at least Cynthia says she freezes single portions, which I think is genius. So she can have chemical-free frozen meals, and especially if you want to make your dollar stretch, that's a really great way to do it too. Grant, what do you do?
Well, I've got a slide here in a little bit, and then I'll talk a little bit about what I do, and maybe some ideas for on the go dinner ideas or breakfast. Yeah. So I'm gonna.
I think it was Cynthia, right? Cynthia's that you just pulled up.
Cynthia.
Something I do that's a little similar is I don't always fully make the food, but if we're having a sheet pan dinner is a great example, and we're dicing up some sweet potatoes to throw on there, I will just dice up 1 or 2 extra sweet potatoes and put them in a freezer bag and freeze them so that in a week or two, when we're doing this again, I just pull them out. It's just tackle it now while I'm already at it, rather than have to do it again later in the future. So you can definitely prep some of those things. I think, was it Sybil said?
Yeah. Here, let me throw that up. That was Sybil, you have a big old plan. That's awesome.
Love it. Yeah.
So vacuum containers. So that sucks all the air out of it, right? And then you can freeze it and it doesn't have any air in there or you can refrigerate it too. But she does a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Lasts longer. I think that's what we're going to talk a little bit about next. So that's an awesome option if you have that available. One of the things with meal prepping is, a lot of people say I'm trying to get in all my superfoods, but I can't eat strawberries and raspberries and, these 5 different vegetables all in 1 week. They'll just go bad. It's just me, right? I do like to do a little bit of a vinegar wash. Just rinsing your produce with water is helpful, right? That helps get the dirt off, helps get some of the pesticides off. But if you have time, I do like a vinegar wash. It helps remove some of the mold spores so that they last longer. It works really well with most produce, even with the skin on it. You can still clean that outside, and it's going to help it not go bad quite as quick. So the only one I wouldn't do it with is mushrooms. They're going to get soggy. Just kind of clean those with a damp paper towel. But I did put some of the steps on here. We don't have to go through all of them. Really simple, just a little vinegar wash and a rinse. But afterwards, something that is worth investing in is some of these wide mouth jars with lids. They're going to be airtight. They're going to keep your produce a little fresher. You could put celery in there. You could put sliced cucumbers, carrots, your fruits, all sorts of things. But it's going to help it last. And it's also helps with that visual, like you open the fridge and you see there is something in there. It's already washed. I don't have to do that effort, right? I can pop it open and snack on it or throw it on top of my salad or whatever it might be.
Love it. Yeah, incorporating the kids and partners. This is just about reframing food prep. Like we all kind of groaned at the beginning, but it doesn't have to be a chore. It doesn't have to be some burden you have to carry on your own. We can turn the work into play and establish healthy habits for the little ones, right? We can teach them life skills when it comes to kitchen safety, nutrition, cooking techniques. Maybe even let them plan some meals, right? They have their, maybe it's Hallie's night, Griffin's night. And cleaning too, right? Cleaning's a skill, and there's nothing like having helpers to help clean up the mess after we've been having fun playing chef. You don't have kids? That's great. Make it a meal prep date night. Maybe you and your partner throw some wine into the mix, make it a thing. Maybe you put on your favorite cooking show, Food Network. Maybe you invite some friends over or a like-minded couple. You guys can meal prep them. Just make it fun, make it entertaining. It doesn't have to be, again, a grind. And make light of it. We want to be healthy and we want to be living well. So it shouldn't be punishment or something we dread. Make it a part of your lifestyle and make it fun.
Absolutely.
Then our go-tos, grab and go. In the mornings, usually we're rushed, right? We got to get out the door, trying to get dressed. If you got kids, it can be a lot. And we tend to sacrifice our healthy choices to beat the clock, right? So we want to set ourselves up for success and have some healthy grab and go options. So it could be as simple as having, some fresh fruit and maybe some nut butter packets around the house. Maybe doing some overnight oats where you right before bed, you put the oats on. There's recipes online. Those oats are ready for you in the morning. All you got to do is throw in some nuts or maybe some berries. There's store-bought microwavable options. We want to be careful though. We want to be mindful. We want to go for more minimally processed foods, but there are some brands and products out there without preservatives and things. They truly are just frozen products. There's some egg patties I think out there. I'm blanking on the brand name, but it's truly just like a scrambled egg that's been cooked and frozen. Nothing more, nothing less. You can throw that onto a tortilla, whatever that looks like for you. And get out the door quickly. And then there's prepping and refrigerating, freezing, anything to reheat. Egg bites are a big deal in our house. During the weekend, we're already cooking a pancake breakfast or something on Sunday morning. So we'll just throw in an extra bowl of eggs while we're cooking. Throw the veggies, get your superfoods and enjoy foods, get those into the mix. Maybe add a little ham for flavor. But make those little, you see them at Starbucks and some of the stores, they have egg bites. So we get that batter, we pour it into our cupcake sheet pan, throw it in the oven, bake it, and then we can throw those in the refrigerator or freezer.
Yeah.
So they're grab and go. You can do the same thing with breakfast burritos. We do another hit in our house are pigs in a blanket, where you get like a sausage and wrap it in a pancake, but we can make whole wheat like high quality flour pancakes. And again, be mindful. Sometimes we make our own turkey sausage. You get the spices and sage recipes. You can find those online, or you can get the better, higher quality sausages from your market. Whip those up, put those in the freezer. Now you can grab them, heat them, and the kids love to dip those in their little thing of maple syrup. But just be creative. Again, be mindful of the labels. Maybe a little prep. Maybe just a matter of getting some quick grab and go options there in the morning. So. Again, you're eating healthy on the go.
Absolutely. Definitely stressing, read your labels at the store. There's nothing wrong with store-bought and some processed food as long as it doesn't have things in it that you don't want. Not only chemicals and preservatives, but also maybe avoid foods are getting in there for you. And you're not aware of it. So read those labels. Yeah,
for sure. When it comes to lunches, similar to the ideas we've talked about, Grant mentioned, get the kids involved. If you have kids that are going to school and need lunch, I now have 3. My youngest just started kindergarten, so I'm like 3 lunches a day that I'm packing. It's a lot.
Wow.
get them involved. If they're able to and they're old enough, get them in there doing it. And if it's for yourself, same concept, have some guidance. I pulled this school lunch packing guide from our friends at Super Healthy Kids. They have some great resources. You could do this for yourself as well, though, where you're putting in your fruits and veggies, your proteins according to your Viome list, right? Options that you can grab or that your kids can grab, and they know, like, hey, I can pack my lunch. I just got some guidance with what I need to put in there. And if you've got those kids who are like stuck in, I eat peanut butter and jelly every single day, I love this link for the 90 Healthy Kids Lunchbox ideas, because it's all, every single one of them is a picture. So they can look at it and they might be able to get some new fun ideas, and maybe you can get some fun ideas for you too, for your lunches, and just kind of switch it up, because ultimately we want that diversity, whether it's for you or for your kids. Like, diversity in your diet is so key to getting in different nutrients and feeding your microbiome. So it's good once in a while to say, like, hey, what new things can we try out? I'm also a big fan of these bento style lunch boxes that are here in the picture. I like them because they're kind of portion sized already, and to me, they like naturally encourage that diversity, right? You have maybe 5 or 6 different compartments, and you want to put 5 or 6 different things in there. So each one's a little different. So I think those are a great tool too when you're meal prepping. In terms of our house, things that we've been getting ready as school has started, we always keep boiled eggs around. We'll usually have some kind of protein muffin in the freezer. So Grant was talking about having things that are kind of grab and go if you need snacks. My kids like them in their lunches, stuff like that. There's a lot of recipes out there, but you can do ones that are, I think on our website, I have like a gluten-free chocolate muffin. Sometimes I do banana bread, protein muffins. You can do a lot of different options.
The eggs have been a game changer for us. Like I grew up hating hard-boiled eggs, like, when they're just like cooked to death. But like a soft-boiled egg, there's that sweet spot, right, where you still have a little bit of the moisture maybe from the yolk. The kids will eat those all day, every day, and they even ask for them now. So just being mindful of those techniques and maybe revisit that a little bit. But just a great on-the-go protein source, right?
Totally.
Healthy.
Yeah. And then think about the things that, like Lisa said, it's at the store. I really love the individual hummus and guacamoles. Costco has them. I'm sure other grocery stores do too. The individual little packs of different types of nut butters are really great, where you can put it on, a piece of celery, a cracker, whatever it might be, in your lunch. So make sure you have some really easy things to throw into your lunch.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit. We talked about breakfast. We talked about lunch. Now we're going to talk a little bit about dinner. Again, the idea here is just to lessen that burden. Do some of the work when you're rested versus at the end of the workday when you just got home. You've been sitting in traffic. You're just want to sit on the couch, like curl up and put on Netflix, whatever. So we talked a little about this earlier. Prepping ahead, you can do some of those food components. Chop those ingredients, throw them into the fridge or freezer. Have them vacuum sealed, all the things, but have them ready to go. This is kind of in the spirit of some of these food services, right? What is it, like Blue Apron, chef in a box type things? They've got all the ingredients ready to go. You just grab it, put it together, and cook it. You can do the same thing. Set yourself up for success. Think about your future self, right? Hey, what can I do now to set my future self up for success? Chop those ingredients. Maybe it's a mirepoix, maybe the Holy Trinity. Throw those into the fridge. Lisa mentioned your proteins. Maybe you're thawing out your proteins for dinner. You're putting those out in the morning. Maybe you're marinating your proteins. Shred your cheese. Just have it all ready to go. So when you get home, you're exhausted. It's a lot of the work's already done for you. You just need to assemble the ingredients and cook it that night. Or you can cook in advance, right? You can do all your cooking. Maybe you're going to have your meal prep party, have your folks over, do your cooking and throw it all into a container. And now you get it frozen for that night when, oh, oops, we didn't go to the grocery store. We don't have anything. Let's check out the freezer. Oh, hey, look, I made enchiladas. I remember now. Let's heat them up. Enchiladas do great in the oven when you're trying to restore them from being frozen. And then just some quick dinner ideas, like maybe don't have a lot. We talked about the sheet panning, lots of recipes. It's like a whole little counterculture, I think, for sheet panning recipes, ideas. Pastas are a big hit in our house, and stir fries. I like these because you can just grab a mix of vegetables, just like with the sheet pans. Hey, what do I have available? What's already here? What can I quickly slice and dice, put into a pot? Maybe you're adding a little sauce. We like to go, our go-to is pesto because it goes with so many things. It's relatively light. Stir fries, it's super easy. You can throw that both on your choice of noodle, your choice of rice. Maybe it's a cauliflower rice. And again, you're trying to eat healthy. You're trying to follow your Viome recommendations. It doesn't have to be a chore. Let's set ourselves up for success with little prep and planning. And the 7 P's. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance, right? So just paying a little attention goes a long way. And again, it's not rocket science. You guys can knock this out of the park if you choose to. So,
Nettie wants you to say that again. Can you say it 3 times fast?
proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Like in the Marine Corps, you say this 7 P's, baby. You do it while you're doing push-ups because you just messed up. You didn't plan ahead. But yeah, let's plan ahead.
Yep, absolutely.
Incorporating your Viome.
Those Viome foods.
Yeah, I'm gonna really just kind of let Lisa jump forward here so we can see your demo. But I will say my number one tip when you're thinking about meal planning with your Viome foods is don't feel like you have to fit every superfood in every week. I like to pick a handful of them to focus on every week and incorporate those into my meal plans. I think as we do ChatGPT, you could probably narrow it down a little bit and say, I want these certain foods this week. But don't feel the pressure that, every superfood's gotta be fit in every day or every week. Give yourself some leeway there. Your enjoy foods are there for a reason. You should be eating those very regularly, and some minimized foods throughout your week as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like you mentioned earlier, we're not talking about picture perfect meals here. Give yourself some grace. Nothing has to be perfect. You can get out of your own way. A lot of times we like to get in our way. It's like, well, we have to do this big grand meal if we're going to cook dinner tonight. That's not what it has to be. That's not what eating healthy, being healthy. Again, it doesn't have to be this big elaborate workout that you don't have to be doing CrossFit to get fit and get the benefits as exercise. We can be humble, we can start slow. And we can lay a foundation for health, both for our diet, our movement, our mindfulness, that we can then springboard off of, right? So keep it simple, keep it light. We're not striving for perfection here. We're just trying to get started and build on that so we can become, again, our best selves.
Yeah. Paulette is saying she's a perfectionist, so she stresses out when she started this. So yeah, especially when I do my demos for this, and I'm going to try to jump in here as quickly as possible because we are at time. So everybody that can stay on for like a couple of minutes, that will be great. I'm going to show you this very quickly. So the first thing that you're going to do, and I'm going to throw up really quickly some links here for you guys. Just click on them and you'll have them for yourself. And the first is your Viome food spreadsheet. And it looks like this really quickly. Here we go. It looks like this. So it's customizable for you, right? But you have to go through and you have to choose what all of your foods are. It takes you a few minutes, but then it's done, until you retest again. And then also each food is in its appropriate food group. But if you want to filter, you can filter here as well. Okay. So that's the first thing that you can do, getting your foods organized so that you can use them quickly. I want to see all of my veggies, here you go. You can see all your veggies. And then you can even go, I want to see all my superfoods, right? There you go. Superfood veggies, right? So that's how useful this is. So you have that. And now you're going to also have a substitution list, a suggestion, because people are like, I don't know what I don't know what to eat. I don't have any of this. I don't have any of that. All of my favorite foods are avoids, which can happen. But I've also seen people go, I don't really eat a lot of these avoid foods. And I'm like, then you're set, you know? So this is the substitution suggestion. Now, remember, just click on this and all you're going to do is make a copy of it, and then you can do with it what you want to do with it. So this is just a suggestion of the avoid food and possible suggestions. You can go the other way too. If you have any of the suggestions as avoids, you can use the avoid food as your substitution. So just kind of be flexible and think about it, especially when you're working with a recipe. There may be an avoid food in there. There may be 5 minimized foods that you need to kind of juggle that around so you're not eating too many minimized foods at once, obviously. And now with ChatGPT, this is what it looks like. Bum, bum, bum. Are you kidding me? I didn't put in ChatGPT. Okay, so it's this. It's chat.openai. That is the website that you go to create an account for yourself. Just your name and an email address, I think is fine. It's free. There's a paid version, but you don't need that. Okay. And so what you're going to do is you're going to create a prompt using your personal foods, especially superfoods and enjoy foods, and then your avoid foods. So a basic, very, very basic prompt is this. Oops. Now that I forgot to do too. This is a different webinar than the one that I usually use. So I don't have that one regular. Here we go.
This is great though. Those spreadsheets are baller.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah.
I love
Especially
it.
all the spreadsheet nerds out there are like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, I love that. And I can mix and match and do that stuff. Somebody asked about a food virus. I can answer that offline if we don't get a chance. All right. So this is an example of a very simple prompt using your personalized food list to create a menu for yourself. Please create a weekly breakfast, lunch, and dinner menu for myself using these foods. And so these are obviously my foods. Okay. So I have my superfoods, and then I put in a bunch of enjoy foods too, so you have a variety, so that it can go and pick recipes for you, and it's not the same thing over and over and over again. And then I said, but please avoid these foods in the meals, and those are my avoid foods. And then we just click go, and it should take about 10 to 15 seconds. Now, as it's doing this, if you don't like something that it gives you, just ask it for something else. Easy. You don't have to do anything that chat says. This is simply just guidance and help. So now you have a menu. You're not deer in the headlights. You're not, I don't know what to eat. Here's some suggestions, right? So there you go. You have a full thing. You can also continue the conversation with chat. Can you give me 5 more breakfast ideas? So it remembers what you asked it before, right? So now it's giving you more breakfast ideas. You can also say, can you make me a grocery list for the above? Yes. Now I didn't put on the actual thing about with amounts, right? You can also say with amounts to help for me to make those menu items, right? And it'll give you amounts too, right? So just so you're aware, ChatGPT uses the whole of the internet to learn from. So whereas there is a lot of correct information on the internet, there's also a lot of maybe not quite correct information on the internet. So sometimes you may find odd things in your menus. It happens to me every once in a while. And you're like, I don't want that. I just said no spinach. So please, remake the menu, no spinach or something like that. It doesn't happen that often, but every once in a while it does pop up. Don't put any personal information into this prompt here, okay? Because this is a public platform. So that is pretty much it. Let me also give you one more thing. I have a document with that basic prompt. And then also I have a more sophisticated prompt that I've made for myself for my meal prepping. So it also gives me on Sunday, do this, prep this, and then package it all. And then you're ready to go. So it also gives me a help on how to actually prep on that Sunday that I want to, and I was like, and I don't want to cook for 5 hours, so you can tell them that easy things, easy, simple things to prep. So that is my ChatGPT demo. I do things like this regularly. So if you're in the Facebook group, you'll be able to get notifications when I'm having another Mastering Your Viome Food Recommendations webinar where I do this for the entire hour. I do this and I talk to people about, working with your Viome foods. Okay, April, the Facebook group is right here. And just request to join. So we have to end this off. I'm so sorry we are late, and I apologize, but I am very glad that you stuck with us. I'm going to pull this up one more time, the deck, because let me put that down. There's lots of things going on here. So I have for all of you who have joined us here and would like to get $100 off of Full Body Intelligence Test, please use the code routines at checkout. And you should be able to get $100 off your Full Body Intelligence Test. So you can use it for your first test or for a retest. All right. So you can continue on with your health journey or start it right here with us. All right. And that is good through Sunday. All right. So I want to thank Janelle and Grant so much for doing all their work on this and giving all this fantastic information to you guys. And it's super fun when I get to jump in and do a little demo and stuff like that. I really, really love that. Thank you, everybody out there, for staying with us for over the hour and coming and joining us today. Please join the Viome Facebook group and join the community. And I wish you all much deliciousness and good luck on getting back to those routines for this fall. Yes, there's going to be a recording. You will get a recording in a follow-up email tomorrow. All right?
Proper prior planning.
There you go. We're all going to chant that tonight in our sleep.
Yeah.
Thank you two very much. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your week. All
Thanks,
right?
everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Bye.